On this episode, we're in Safari Waters Ranch, somewhere in Texas, and we're riding shotgun with Bob Eubanks. Hey Bob, how you doing? Thanks for having me here today.
Well, pleasure to have you here, Phil.
And I love what you got going on here.
Yeah.
So tell me about your beautiful cars. Let's start with the 57.
The 57. Well, when I retired, I had had enough of hunting, fishing, sports, golf, and I decided I needed a new hobby. And classic cars have always been of interest to me. And I happened to have a friend in Tyler, Texas, who happened to have this car on his lot. And he was familiar with the car, had been for about 15 years. Long story short, I bought this 57 from him. And the reason I liked the 57 was because when I was in high school, my parents had a 57 and I always liked them, but I always lusted after the two-door hardtop. And this is what we now have. And it
7 Chevy Bel Air is going to be the most iconic Chevy, I think, in American history. Some may debate that, but let's take a look at this front end real quick here. Now, you mentioned it was the age of the rocket, or the space age, right? So they started designing cars with that kind of feel.
Yeah, it does give you the impression of a rocket, and you have to realize, going back to the 50s, that Kennedy was the one that started promoting the space program, and with that, the idea of traveling around the world. Airplanes were becoming more popular, also very reasonable to travel from the United States to Europe, and people were starting to travel throughout the world. And so rockets and airplanes then became a very popular theme for the automobile manufacturers. In fact, you see these bullet designs here on the bumper, and then your rocket design there, and as time goes on, you will see it evolve, that cars became more and more resembling the space age. And you'll see a dramatic difference from this car and the other car behind us. So this 57 was the one that really started the kind of the space age rocket mentality in our country.
Let's walk around and take a look at the interior.
Interior was totally changed over the years, and they really changed again. The Tri-5s made a very big change. And so you see today the combination of colors. And this was an age of when color was popular. You could get any color. In the old days, Ford said you can have any color you want as long as it's black. But here, as they start into the age after World War II, they're excited. People have a lot of exuberance. They're excited about their future, and the cars went along with it. The cars represented how they felt.
Although it is black and red, which is one of my favorite color combinations, this was not originally black.
No, this was not originally black. This car was originally a white top and a greenish turquoise bottom with a matching kind of interior. The only thing really original on this car is the body and the frame. This is a replica of the 57 interior. In fact, it would look just like one, red and black. That's typical of that era. So these are typical materials and design of 1957. And
can you pop the hood?
Yeah. Now this is really a resto mod. This is not pretending to be an original car at all. This has a 350 crate engine in it, 355 horsepower, and it has matched up to a 350 tranny. And it has air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, and so front disc brakes and drum brakes on the back. So anyway, this car has been totally redone, and one of my friends looked at it and looked under the undercarriage and said, "Hey, this is nothing but a brand new car," and that is what it is. And it is a fun car to drive. And that's the reason why I got into the cars, is I like to drive these old cars. I'm not looking for an investment, something's going to make me a lot of money. I'm looking for a car that I can have fun driving and also carry to car shows and maybe win a trophy or two along the way, but meeting people that like cars, and it's fun for people to say, oh, I had a car just like that one time. And that's fun to hear people tell you of their experiences when we were all young people back in the 50s. And so it's fun to do.
Well, this one sure is a beauty, but this one over here really catches the eye, and I know the 58 has a special story as well.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the first date.
This 58, I started college, and after my freshman year, my parents told me that following summer, it looked like you're going to go back to school. And I said, yes, I am. I said, I can do this college work, not a problem. And they said, well, of course, you need a car. And because I couldn't get around and I had to hitch a ride back and forth to home. So anyway, we went one Saturday and found a 58 Chevrolet Impala, which was my dream car. And we drove past this dealership and saw it on a used car lot, and I said, there it is. And my dad says, I was afraid of that. and I remember we bought it, we traded an old 56 Ford pickup in on it, and the price of the car was $13.95. And it was all white. It looked exactly like this car. It was all white, had the same color turquoise interior, but outside it was all white. And it too had a 348 Turbo Glide, which was a new transmission for the 1958. But you'll notice the 58 from the 57, these are the top two models in those 2 years, and they are totally different.
Start with the grill here. The front end obviously pretty much went with the 4 headlights.
Absolutely, yes. They went with the 4. Again, this was all the idea, bigger and better, longer, wider. So they did introduce the 4 lights, and even you'll notice the smaller lights, the parking lights. There's 4 of those versus 2 on the 57.
The bullets are gone.
The bullets are gone now, but you have, again,
got up here, right?
These little fins up here, and they give you the idea of an aircraft, plane, spacecraft, whatever. And they made a big deal about the V8. The V became much larger, and it was silver rather than gold as on the 57 V8. And this car was, I believe there were 58,000, I believe, made. Not too many of them around nowadays.
58 Impala is the first year of the Impala.
Yes, this was the very first year. And when it came out, I remember in about September of 1957, I just, that was the car I wanted. And then fortunately, 4 years later, my parents found this one in 1962, and we went from there. So, and then the next important thing about this car is that it was not only my first car, but it was a car that I was driving when I met my wife, Liz, and she was a hostess for Braniff International Airways. And that's the reason why we have that tag on the car. And we go to car shows, well, who worked for Braniff Airways? Well, my wife did. And with this car, in the first year, she won 5 trophies, and I won a couple of plaques. But this car, every time it enters a show, it will win a trophy. And I now call her my trophy wife. She wins trophies and I get plaques on the 57, so I have a trophy wife.
Tell me about this color.
Okay, this color is not original to Chevrolet that year. It was a darker color, more of a green color. It really wasn't this nice turquoise color. The previous owner matched up the interior dash and had it all painted this color out in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's where I found this car, was out in Phoenix, Arizona. And it had been a very fun car. And so this is my wife's car.
And it's a beauty. The interior with the stripes and the black and the white and the turquoise, is that typical?
That is exactly what a 58 Impala looked like, brand new. In fact, that interior is exactly the interior that was on my 58 that I bought in 1962. It is the same interior. And this color green in the upholstery, that was the color that the car would have been had it used that same color. Mine was all white.
So what do we got under the hood here?
Okay, this one has the original design motor. It's a 348 with 3 deuces on it. This is not the original engine to this car. It's long gone. This is out of a 64 or 65 Impala, but this is exactly the design that came in this car when it came out of the factory.
Well, one thing I have to mention on this, because in England, you know, they call the hood is the bonnet.
The bonnet, yeah.
And the trunk is the boot.
Yes.
Now, this one has a pretty big old booty on it.
Yes, it does. It is huge.
I guess they just traveled with a lot more luggage, or they wanted to have enough room for all their bags.
They did, and if you look back on the history of cars, you will find some of the even older cars, they called them the business coupe. And back in those days, salesmen traveled around in their car and they carried a lot of samples of what they were selling. So they would have this big trunk full of gear that they would be selling. And that just continued, and the cars got bigger. In this age of exuberance and excitement after World War II, gravitated right into bigger and larger cars and chrome. Oh, how much chrome can I get on this car?
Is the spare an option, or was that?
That was an option. This car did not come with that. This was installed about 4 years ago out in Phoenix. When they painted the car, they added the Continental kit to it.
So a lot of things that are kind of fun. Tell me about the white wall tires, because that was a thing back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
It was.
It just adds a look, or?
Yeah, yes, and again, this is all part of the exuberance of that age, back in the 50s and 60s, bigger and better, so you get big white wall tires, and now there's several companies that manufacture these tires that were popular back in the 50s and 60s.
Well, you got a couple of beauties here. Congratulations.
They relate to our family experience in our life, and so that's what our collection's all about. And it's also just to have fun and go to car shows.
Well, you have a beautiful home, beautiful cars, and a beautiful family.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.